Hello and welcome to the Tuesday 2 o'clock Tea and Talk. I'm Aura McKay. I'm a business coach and lifestyle strategist, and creative entrepreneurs hire me to bridge that gap between their creative genius and making money with their business. And on today's 2 o'clock Tea and Talk, I want to talk about the gig economy, that roller coaster of kind of feast and famine that happens when we are freelancers and creative entrepreneurs. And I want to talk to you specifically about some ideas about what you can do to ease that pain of income uncertainty. And so kind of what's been happening recently is in a mastermind group, we've been having conversations about money and taking care of our money and managing our money, and it doesn't seem to matter where we're at with our journey as entrepreneurs or creative freelancers, whether we're just starting out or whether we've been in the business for years and years and years. When we're on this journey, there seems to be this disconnect between our creativity, our passion, the skills that we have, and that genius. And then how do we actually run a business? There's this idea that there's like two very different ways of thinking: the creative, passionate, innovative way of thinking, and then the linear sort of math, numbers, business way of thinking. And a lot of us who are creative and passionate tend to try to avoid the numbers and avoid thinking about it. And that is actually the basis of where most of the pain comes from, you guys. I hate to tell you it, but if you think about it, when we look at even the question, like, how do you ease the pain of income uncertainty? It's right there. The word uncertainty. That's where a lot of pain and stress and overwhelm and like just the frustration comes from, is the uncertainty of not knowing, when is the money coming, where is it going, am I going to have work next month, next year, that tension from the not knowing. So just thinking about that for a minute, consider that the number one way to ease that pain of income uncertainty is to start looking at your numbers. Yep, I know that can freak a lot of people out, especially creative entrepreneurs. We're not comfortable with numbers. We don't understand the vocabulary of business for the most part. And that's why I work so hard to take the ideas of business and translate them into a way that creative entrepreneurs can understand. So the first step for any of you that are struggling with this, one day it's turkey, the next day it's feathers, one day it's a feast, next day it's the famine. This roller coaster ride is a lot of, it comes from not knowing and not paying attention to. So whatever we pay attention to in our business, that's where the most energy goes, that's where the most success is going to happen. A lot of times what we think is happening with our money is not exactly what's actually happening. There's a statistic that I learned when I was being a coach for Weight Watchers. When people generally underestimate the amount that they eat by 33% and overestimate the amount of exercise they do by 33%. And it's only when participants start writing things down do they become face to face with the reality of what's going on. So I invite you to try that on for your business, because most entrepreneurs, we underestimate how long things are going to take to complete, and we overestimate the amount of money we're going to keep. So when we're talking about income uncertainty, the biggest thing you can do is to start paying attention to your numbers, to start noticing, oh, you know what? Every February, I don't have very many clients and my revenue dips. Oh, every August, September, I have huge amounts of cash flow coming in. Oh, this isn't uncertainty. It's actually quite predictable. So what happens when you start measuring your numbers and when you start paying attention to them is that you can sometimes start to see trends. trends in seasonality, trends in terms of buying behaviors. And when you can start to anticipate, oh, this February coming up, I know that I'm gonna have less cash flow, less income. Oh, okay, so what can I do to plan for that instead of it being a surprise or just ending up freaked out when you start looking at your bank balance? So definitely measuring. I think the next thing that I would share to you about how do you kind of ease that pain of income uncertainty is understanding the difference between revenue and income. Understanding the difference between how much you charge and how much you get to keep. Because those are two very different things. So once you're really clear on this is the amount that I'm charging and this is the amount that I get to keep in my pocket, and having a real intentional strategy for how you're going to pay yourself and when you're going to pay yourself, that can really help, because then what happens is you separate your business activity from your personal income. And if you start creating a system where you actually pay yourself income on a consistent basis, then your life doesn't have to go the same way your sales do. And you can start planning on how to live your life because you're consistently receiving personal income regardless of what the revenue is happening in your business. Meaning, we're gonna have highs and lows and ebbs and flows in our businesses all the time. And when we're having those feast periods in our business, we can be saving up money in our business to cover the times when we're having that dip or the sort of famine aspect. And if we create a strategy where we're consistent in how we pay ourselves, then the income piece doesn't feel so crazy and uncertainty. So when we look at that conversation about how do you ease that pain of income uncertainty, creating a strategy specifically for personal income that's independent of the revenue of your business is a great way to help you feel more confident, to feel like your money is more consistent, to help you plan for vacations, or all of that kind of crazy stuff that we feel like sometimes as entrepreneurs we don't get to do. You can absolutely do it. And the third thing that I would offer you in terms of how to ease that pain is to review your actual business model. Sometimes we can change our cash flow roller coaster by changing how we package and price our offers. So for example, if you're a professional photographer and you're serving a business market, you might want to offer a 6 months social media package that they can have as a payment plan. So then that means you sell once and then you have 6 months of consistent income. Yeah, so like 6 months of consistent income by selling it once. Just by changing your business model, by creating a payment plan option for bigger packages, or creating membership services so people can get updated headshots every 3 months, or some way of creating a ladder of ascension so that you're not just marketing and selling one thing to one client. You guys, it takes so much more effort to try to get a new client than it does to sell something to a client who already loves you and who's already bought something from you. So looking at your business model and seeing how can I continue to serve clients after they've purchased from me once, and looking at your business model, like how can I package my services so that I can create consistent monthly income and start avoiding that roller coaster. So guys, as always, I love to answer any specific questions that you might have around income uncertainty or how to even that out, or cash flow, or even the vocabulary of money as I take a sip from my lovely teacup. Today is peppermint, seems to be my go-to tea for my Tuesday 2 o'clock tea and talk. Love it with honey. So if you have anything to add to the conversation right now before I sign off, please do. Otherwise, as always, I will check out the comments and I'm happy to address any of your concerns specifically. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next week on the Tuesday 2 o'clock Tea and Talk, guys. Thanks.